Wayne Spooney here. Celtics, not so late night with Jake Eisenberg. Jake, how's it going, buddy? How we feeling?
Feeling good, feeling good. I was just saying, nothing like a 4:40 a.m. wake up for the 5 a.m. tip off. But yeah, nothing wakes you up quite like a 38-19 first quarter, followed subsequently by a 23-5 run in the third quarter. Caffeine's got nothing on a big win against the New York Knicks.
That is for damn sure. 3-0 against the Knicks and knocked them off the chance to go 40-20 with their 20th loss. So that's beautiful. This played out like really similar to the last game where they didn't quite cut it as close in the previous game, but we had the huge lead. They cut it down, and then we immediately ballooned the lead back up to 20. Like the final score, 118-105. It was a bigger win than that because Bridges had 5 complete garbage time points within the last like 50 seconds. It was ridiculous. This was essentially a 20-point win from wire to wire, except for like 9 minutes in the third quarter. But otherwise, like pretty dominant performance from the C's.
Yeah, shout out the chat. Shout out OU drinking a White Claw at the beach. That's the best way to consume anything really, but especially first to the floor, I would say. But yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think about that. It's because when you reflect on the games, you don't remember that I didn't remember that the second game they also cut it to 3, which is funny because they ended up getting it closer in that game, but the lead ended up being bigger in the second game, whereas they didn't quite get it down that close. But yeah, it got to 27, and the Celtics clearly immediately relaxed. And Derek White, I think in the third, fourth quarter, interview thing was like, we let some outside stuff affect us, which I think was code for we stopped trying and stopped executing, and the Knicks went on their run. And that's hard, dude. Like the younger, less experienced Celtics, it's difficult to regain the rope in those moments. And they did it. And Derek White was a big part of it, hitting 2 monster threes like in that fourth quarter as the lead was kind of like slipping away.
Yeah, it was strange because I feel like Tatum was really guilty of taking his foot off the gas and settling big time in that third quarter. And part of it is, look, the Knicks went 6 of 9 from 3 in the third quarter. They missed 2 of those, go 3 of 9. All of a sudden, they probably don't even get to close to 4. They probably get a little more discouraged, and they don't really have the momentum to keep building on the run. But so I was like, damn, Tatum is like kind of selling this game in the third quarter. But then also when we started the fourth quarter without him, I'm like, where's Tatum, Joe? Like, we can't let this game slip away. But yeah, it was like Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and bench guys. Pritchard hit a big 3 as well. And I think he had a nice take to the rim. I can't remember if that might have been in the third quarter, actually, while they were going. Yeah, it was the big 3 he hit in the third quarter that kind of was like our only points we hit in like a 6-minute period. So that was a kind of a big shot. And Derek's big nuts threes. Like that one he hit on OG, like we had nothing going on that offensive possession, and Al kind of threw him a hand grenade, and he just sort of like V-cut. He just like went 2 feet in, backed up, caught it, fired right in Anunoby's face and buried it. And that's when I kind of took an exhale and I was like, okay, we're going to be okay. And I thought Jalen was really good in the fourth quarter too.
Yeah, dude, JB, 11 points in the fourth, 5 for 9, 1 for 4 from 3. But yeah, dude, the Derek White clutch, non-traditional threes. There was one he like bobbled and just nothing but the net as well, like an inbounds that they missed on the broadcast, which annoys me to no end. But yeah, the fourth quarter, 29-23 overall. But like as you said, a lot of that was garbage time. This matchup is just untenable for the Knicks.
Yep.
it's just not something that they can solve on either end. And I had a couple of tweets from our friends at Knicks Film School here. Firstly, from nice Bobby, I completely mislabeled these, didn't I, Jake? Yep, I did. DJ, who we had on the pod, my take since the second meeting at MSG. I get the desire to search for the obvious solutions, but the big picture is crystal clear. And that was a quote tweet to basically like, yes, sure, Deuce McBride should play more, and sure they could try some more switching, but like these are not solutions to 3 20-point losses. And now, honestly, 2 years in a row, they're 7-1, even with two versions of the Knicks. Like the Celtics play really well against not just the Town. I mean, Towns has really broken this matchup wide open, but the Brunson part of it. Josh Hart and Deuce McBride, who are like good defenders in a vacuum for their size and position, not good defenders in a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown matchup. And so there's just too many holes on both ends. And yeah, I just like, I'm now at a point, Spoonie, I don't know about you, but I'm rooting actively for the Cavs to continue winning and for us to settle into this. I mean, if we end up with the 1 seed, that means that things are going quite well for the Boston Celtics. So,
Wouldn't hate it.
Exactly. That means we basically have barely lost a game probably between now and the rest of the season. But like this matchup is just so comfortable, and also it would just be so fun to win a series like against the Knicks, like in MSG and at home, like those matchups, even though everyone will now be expecting the result that we've seen, it will still have a ton of juice and will feel really good.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I think if the Knicks run into Indy in the first round, they might be in trouble. The BHP Styles. We've got a Jake admirer.
Finally, our first one.
yeah, you're gonna have to knock Derek White out of line, buddy.
That's right.
But yeah, like if you play two bad defenders against the Celtics, you essentially do not have a chance. Like the T-Wolves could get away with it because Cat was their only bad defender on the floor. And we still did all of our work offensively by going at him. But when it's Cat and Brunson and some of these actions, like I've got some clip. Here's Cat, Brunson, easy pick and roll. They both blow the switch. Derek White is wide open. Like this is just not you can't win in the playoffs with Karl Anthony Towns being like the back line of your defense. Yeah, I cut that one short accidentally, but that's okay.
Well, KP missed some of these as well. It was like...
Yeah. He missed that one. Yeah. But yeah, here's Cat, just way behind the play, easy jumper for Kristaps Porzingis. This one is my favorite. Watch him when he gets to the block, try to play defense in semi-trans. He just stands there. He's just standing there. So he doesn't move. And so essentially, like, if you can get a wide open 3 anytime you set a pick, you cannot play playoff defense. Like, it's just not going to work. It's too easy for the Celtics to get anything they want if they just have Cat in a pick and roll. Like, you just can't shortcut the Celtics offense that way. There's nothing you can do when Cat and Brunson are both out there, and that is a massive problem because they're their 2 best players.
I'd say so. I'd say it's a little bit of a problem. And like the volume of threes is there and the quality of the threes are there. Like they shot 38.6% on threes today, and it felt like it could have just been so much more. Yep. KP 2 for 9. Tatum missed all of his pull-up threes. Like that was probably the difference between this game and the first 2 games, is that Tatum missed the wide open pull-up threes that he was able to get it into coming off screens. But other than that, like KP goes 2 for 9 from 3 and
on wide open
threes. And so like there's going to be games where he just goes nuts from 3. It's volume, shot quality. It's just not something that's tenable. And then you flip it around to the other side and like defensively, it's a problem for them too. So look at how they guard these guys. I mean, so Precious Achiuwa's on the court right now, but so look at where KP is. He's just in the paint, not paying attention. Yeah. And then like, it looks like Ben Simmons. And then the same is true of Josh Hart. Look at where Tatum is, dude. Just does no care in the world about Josh Hart. Horford's willing to leave him. cuts off the cut, immediate double, and then KP doesn't even bother closing out on Precious Achiuwa, who airballs the three.
Yeah.
Like, and I tweeted this as well, but Mitchell Robinson does not solve this problem. That's the thing. Like, yeah, if you're talking about defensively, maybe he helps, but he's not a world-wrecking defender. As I said, the Celtics were 3-1 against the Knicks last year. The only game that the Knicks won was when the season was basically wrapped up. Not a guy that has given the Celtics and Tatum trouble with running offense. And then offensively, he's not going to solve your spacing and like the way that the Celtics are so ruthless in how they force you into the types of shots that they want you to take.
Yeah, man. Like that's them. Like, that's the Knicks playing like a pseudo 5-out offense, which should be very difficult to guard. They are going to need Josh Hart to make a lot of threes in a matchup against the Celtics. And I really don't anticipate that being a good way to win a series. And we like the way we defend Brunson, where we got caught a few times last game biting on his pump fake, but today I can't remember us biting on any one of his shitty dumbass pump fakes. And he
Zero
did not.
free throws.
Yeah, 0 free throws for Jalen Brunson. And if you do that against him, then he's going to be super reliant on pull-up jumpers. And look, he had 22 points. But
19 shots though. Like you live with that every day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't like facilitating and getting his teammates into the game. He only had 4 assists. And that's a problem when you are as ball dominant as him. It's like he's working super hard and he ends up with a pull-up 3 or a contested mid-range 2. That's a win for the Celtics. He'll make those. He'll go 9-19. He'll go, 10-22 on those shots and 27 points or whatever. But it's not efficient offense over the course of an entire game, especially when he's not creating for anybody else, which he absolutely was not. And also, like Bridges and OG Anunoby, everyone's like, oh, this will solve the Celtics. Like, you can't build a team that is just a shittier version of the Celtics and beat them. You need to build a team that's entirely different. And that's why Denver gives us problems, because they're completely, utterly different than we are. OKC built a team exactly like ours that's as good or almost as good. That's why they can compete with us. Same with Cleveland. They're entirely different than we are. So sometimes they can give us problems. The Knicks are just a shit version of us. 2 wings, both worse than our wings. 1 shooting center, worse than our shooting center. Okay, Brunson's better than Jrue Holiday. Okay.
Or Derek White.
But
sure.
Or Derek White. That's it. That's your one advantage in this matchup. And the benches, in my opinion, like McBride's maybe as good as Pritchard. I'm contractually obligated to say that because he went to WVU. But other than that, I'll take any of our bench guys over the Knicks bench. Like, you can't win if you're just a worse version of us. So it's just dumb team construction.
It's not close. It's just, it's untenable. And Josh Hart got asked about it in the postgame by Bobby Manning. And like after the recent game, he was like, no, I'm not worried about it. I think maybe even on one of their podcasts, they're like, yeah, it's actually a good thing or something like that. And he looked pretty defeated during this one. It's like, yeah, like we had some moments. Jaylen Brunson was like, hey, we did it in the third quarter. We just got to do it for 4 quarters, and we could do it for 7 games, I guess, so I guess that they've had 2 out of 12 good quarters so far. I think I've seen that they've led the Celtics for a total of less than a minute in all 3.
It's probably like 2-0.
Yeah, exactly. Like today they were up 3-2.
Yeah.
Like that's literally the only time that they led. So there's nothing that you can leave this feeling good about unless you're an insane person. I truly don't understand how you could feel good if you're a Knicks fan, because your ceiling is now very, very obviously defined unless the Celtics sustain like significant injury, because they smoked the Knicks without Kristaps Porzingis and without Jrue Holiday in the previous game. And in the first game, they also didn't have Kristaps Porzingis. So like as long as you've got the Jays and Derek, I think that, I mean, Horford's always there as well. So like that's a big part of this, but the Jays, when it comes to the versatility and like manipulating the matchup here, as long as you've got those 2 guys, when you're both, creating offense and then flipping it on the other side with guarding Cat, like Jrue Holiday, Tatum, and Jalen can all guard Cat one-on-one Like he got Derek on the perimeter one time, but like they forced it was like Deuce and Cat were running some action, and Horford switched and Deuce fell down, but it went back to Derek. But then Derek still like kind of made Cat work to get into the paint, and Cat's just not a high level enough decision maker and passer to then kick. And by the way, the only guy that was open was the guy that Porzingis left, which was Josh Hart in the corner. But Cat forces up like a semi off balance shot at the rim, which Porzingis blocks, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun seeing.
Yeah.
I find Karl Anthony Towns distasteful for some. I don't know. Something about that dude I don't like. But if you told me Cat went 3 for 4 from 3, you're probably thinking, man, he cooked. Nah. He went 9 of 20 for the game, despite shooting 75% from 3. So he's 6 of 16 from 2-point range. Like, if your offense is devolving into Cat posting up like Jaylen Brown and Jrue Holiday, congratulations, you've lost the game. The Celtics are winning that game if that's the best type of shot you can generate. Because we're especially going to cook his ass on the other end too. So it just like watching him play defense legitimately upsets me. He's so bad.
It's brutal, and at least 3 of those 6 2-point makes were all offensive rebounds as well.
Yeah.
Which are like those count the same, obviously, but like you probably don't get as many of those in the next game. Like 5 offensive rebounds is not something that Cat typically does. Yeah, man, it's a brutal matchup for these guys. Derek White and Jrue Holiday, I think this was just a true team win. So I think it's kind of difficult to assign one guy as the guy. But if I give you Derek White and Jrue Holiday as the kind of the reason that if you're going to call the Celtics a super team, it's when the Derek White and Jrue Holiday play like this. Obviously, 7 for 10, 5 for 6 from 3 from Derek is kind of like on the upper end of efficiency, plus the 9 rebounds and 7 assists. But Jrue Holiday defensively was incredible. I'll let you take it either way here on Derek or Jrue. But when these two guys are doing this is what takes the team to like an unstoppable level.
Yeah, I think Derek guards Jalen Brunson better than anybody else in the NBA. And it's mainly because he's so goddamn good at rear view contests that I think it really bothers
Brunson. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, Tony Brothers reffing Brunson with the brothers. But yeah, I think Derek does such a good job of like he's late getting around the screen, obviously, because we just dare him to get over. We're just like challenge Derek White to get over the screen and force Brunson to 2-point range, and then bother his shot any way you can when he pulls up from mid range. And he's so friggin' good at that, and it lets us just play the Knicks in a way that makes the Knicks uncomfortable because Brunson wants to switch. He wants KP on him, and then he can get into his herky-jerky, fakey, goofy game, and we just play drop and live with the results.
That was a very nice way of putting it.
Yeah, his foul baiting bitch-ass game. That's what he wants, but we just don't concede it. We just let KP be in drop, soft contest, and let Derek and Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown, who also had some really nice possessions on several different guys, including Jalen Brunson tonight, to get around and bother his shot. And it works, and it completely stalls out their offense to the point where it seems like the Knicks are like totally out of ideas at times. So Derek was amazing.
Yeah. This is a good point from Nick in the chat as well. Derek is also good at avoiding the grift. And I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that the Celtics played the Knicks like quite recently. And, you know, when you get into a playoff series, guys that rely on foul baiting like Harden and Embiid, that type of stuff becomes less, reliable in the playoffs. And maybe because they had just seen Brunson, they're a little more prepared for it. Because I can just see in a playoff series, the Celtics being really disciplined on. It was the same thing with Jimmy Butler. Like, as long as you stay down on his pump fakes and know that he's like trying to grift on pretty much every attempt at the rim, you can really start to limit their effectiveness. So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But Derek White has been electric lately in particular. And he had a media availability yesterday because they had a couple of days off here. And talked about regaining his joy. And
I don't know. I don't know. I think I was just like go into the arena and like just didn't have the same amount of like just joy and just my energy kind of affected it. And I think that's just when I'm at my best is when I'm like having fun and I'm just my energy's high and I'm just doing a lot of different things. So I think during that time when I wasn't playing well, it kind of just all combined into probably the reason why I wasn't playing well. So just trying to come back and just be excited and do what I do best.
So firstly, hand up, I got to take responsibility for part of this. Like, as, you know, Derek White's mistress, like, I am somewhat responsible for, you know, his joy levels. And
Totally.
So, yeah. So it's
Slacking.
Like, yeah, like you know, we're all about accountability, you know, on this show. If I'm going to call out Pritchard for being hesitant in the first half of the Mavericks game, then I have to, you know, take responsibility for Derek White's joy levels and attributes taking a dip over a 4 to 6 week period. But please hire me as just the Derek White joy booster, because I think that I could like successfully fill that role. But Derek White, obviously incredible tonight, but he last 15 games, which I've been looking at, 16 points per game, 48%, 43% from three, 5 boards, 5 assists to 1.6 turnovers. Like, he's back. He's back. The team is back. And him being back is so important. And it's not just like the making shots thing, but he almost more than anybody seems to be connected to confidence. And it's really jarring because so many of these NBA players have like the opposite problem. Like, I was just watching the Heat Bucks game before, and Kevin Porter Jr. was just showered with praise from Giannis like in the previous game, which pissed me off for a variety of reasons, obviously. But then I watched him, and he's just like, he took 5 no pass possession jump shots. And I'm like, that's the type of guy that's got too much confidence. Yeah. Give his confidence to Derek White, and we're looking at an all-NBA type player. And so it's interesting that a guy that's like proven so much as a player in the NBA at this point to still have these types of problems. And then Joe kind of followed up with this being like, yeah, the game can kind of take some of this from, I think I had the quote here actually from Bobby Kravitsky had it. When the expectations rise, it's easy for the joy to be robbed. When he's at his best, he just plays carefree, but you have to go through those struggles. It was important for him to fight through it. And this goes back into my every slump equals more glory on the other side of each slump. Back to essentially the Super Saiyan kind of corollary.
It's like a sine wave. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like down and up, down and up. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, he is playing out of his mind. When you see Derek's assists creep up and the turnovers creep down, that's when you know he's Super Saiyan level 3. He was in the gravity chamber with Vegeta or whatever the hell that thing was. Yeah, I watched a little DBZ in my day.
Man, I used to fucking wish I had a hyperbaric chamber so bad.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna get so good at year 11 rugby. No one's gonna know.
I'm gonna be jacked as hell, and my lungs are gonna be incredible. It's like the combination of the passing, lack of turnovers, and the confident pull-ups behind the pick and the pick and roll. When he's got those going, that's when you know he's like really feeling good and really feeling himself. And I think you just said it, like, if in the context of the Knicks, but I think in the context of this team as a whole and long term, if we have the Jays and Derek, that's the foundation of a top 3 seed every single season. And I don't think it really matters who you put around them. Look, we've turned Luke Cornett into like a very good backup center. Like, I mean, that's insane. He was like out of the league at 26.
Dude, again, Luke, I mean, not a monster Luke game, but yeah, dude, it's a great point. Again, Luke, 3 offensive rebounds. He's just Isaiah Hartenstein apparently in when it comes to offensive rebounds. I was like, 2
assists.
Dude, just cooking. So Derek White, absolutely huge in this game, and Porzingis also talked about it in the post game about like, I just love him because he just hits the timely shots. He's just got it in his blood, and he absolutely does. Like, it's just the Game 6 tip-in Miami, the conference finals Game 3 or Game 4, I forget now. He just hits big shots. It's just part of who he is for the Boston Celtics at this point. And now maybe the story of the game or story of the 2 games back after the All-Star break for me, Jrue Holiday looking like playoff Jrue Holiday. And the defense in particular, I thought tonight was like ridiculous. I thought he was destructive all over the place. Big plays, small plays, everywhere. And then obviously followed up by like the 6 for 9 efficiency. But to me, it starts on the defensive end, but he's just physically looked really, really good to me. And they need to put him on the Horford program. I don't want to see Jrue Holiday playing in any back-to-backs.
Yeah, absolutely not. 25 minutes at the most, Joe. Preferably 20, please. Let Pritchard go get some minutes. Who cares? Jrue was incredible defensively. I don't even know who he was matched up on in this game.
Everyone.
Yeah, like he just was all over the place, guarding everybody. Didn't matter. And one thing like he's really been doing these last 2 games I've noticed is he is like attacking the ball when people drive. Like he is getting his paws in there and like ripping at the ball. And he like never fouls when he does it. He had 1 foul today, and there were multiple times like he might not turn you over, but he makes it uncomfortable when you go for the gather and then Jrue Holiday's fucking bear claws are like slapping at the ball. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you miss shots. Cat had a couple where he was just like all over the place, couldn't really secure the ball and just kind of flicked it and then begged for the foul. And Jrue was the reason for a couple of those. Like he's so good at that. And we just didn't see it because what's the point? Like it's hard to do that. It's hard to read the play, fly over there, make sure you don't foul. But it's nice to see this level is still there for him, and I anticipate we will not get this Jrue Holiday for very much longer until the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see this version of Jrue Holiday too much. I just wanted the reminder to see it. Yeah, so Z gave me a chat like Holiday finally looks like Holiday, and I think I talked about this with you recently, but like he's not the quickest person, and so if he's coasting defensively and sitting back, then he can start to look a little bit older because he's not as quick laterally. But when he's doing exactly what you're talking about and just attacking ball handlers and not letting them get comfortable, you don't actually need to be the faster player or the quicker player because they're reacting to you. You're the one forcing them to try and deal with your stuff. But yeah, man, like when he's playing like this and that defensive gear is still there, combined with maybe Jason Tatum, who we're going to talk about next, taking steps as a playmaker that we've talked about. But like just another reminder or a little showcase that Jrue Holiday has this defensive gear in him makes me feel so good about the playoffs and the types of matchups we're going to see, especially in the Eastern Conference, especially against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander potentially, but like the Garlands, the Mitchells, the Brunsons, like these perimeter players, and having Jrue Holiday, a dude that like all over the NBA, dudes are like, that's the guy that I do not enjoy playing basketball against. Yep. And so just thank you, Jrue. Now, I'm going to be annoyed if I see you on both legs of the Pistons-Raptors back-to-back.
Yeah, especially with the Raptors being the second game. Please do not play in that game. So one thing too, I especially that was like this is like playoff Jrue. They tried to hide, I think it was McBride, might have been Brunson on him. And we just swung the ball to the corner and he got the ball in the corner. He just did that like slow, weird tempo, Euro step drive, got all the way to the rim and finished. And it's like, you cannot hide a small defender against it. Like you better hope Derek White is not shooting the ball well that night because that's the only hope for a small, weak defender against the Celtics because Jrue's the 5th option and he will bust your ass and get to the rim if you've got Jalen Brunson on him trying to hide him with Karl Anthony Towns as your rim help.
I loved it. I think the one you're talking about, it was Payne in the fourth quarter.
It was Payne, okay. I know it was a small guard.
Yeah. Celtics are up 6, and you don't see a lot of Jrue initiating, but I think that they were like, Payne's on him, run a pick and roll with Porzingis, and Towns actually just goes to KP, which leaves like the lane wide open for Payne, and Jrue just puts the shoulder into him and gets right to the rim and just finishes right at the cup. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see because that backcourt, man, they are you can't like classify them as the best backcourt in the NBA when you've got like the Mitchells and the Brunsons, Mitchells and the Garlands and stuff like that. Even talent wise, like Mikal Bridges, I'd still take the Celtics backcourt because he's just been so underwhelming this year. But like you're ranking players in the NBA, Derek and Jrue, or maybe aren't at the top of the list. But when you talk about impact, versatility, and things that they can do to help your team win, like just like at the tippy top of the list in the NBA.
Yeah, man. Like, I think this is crazy. I'm just going to say it, but it's fucking crazy, but I'll say it. If I'm trying to win the NBA Finals, and that is my goal, I would rather have Derek White or Jrue Holiday right now for this upcoming playoffs than Darius Garland. I'm sorry, man.
I thought you were going to go Brunson, and I was like,
no, not Brunson or Mitchell. They're too damn good offensively. Yeah. And Garland's a really good offensive player, but he's also smaller and weaker than both of them. And I love Garland. He's amazing. He's super fun to watch. He's much more fun to watch than Brunson, but like he's 6 foot, 160 pounds. Like it's just really hard to build a playoff defense around with a guy like that once you get into the conference finals and the finals. So, I mean, I know that it sounds insane because Garland's like literally an all-star, but it's a different test when it's like that deep in the playoffs. Who do you want?
The numbers actually aren't that different, right? Like, Brunson, Garland's in like the 20 points per game range on good efficiency, and same with Derek White. And obviously the offensive responsibility is a bit is higher with Garland, no doubt. But the defensive gap is so wide, and I think we've kind of seen like Derek White probably could scale up a little bit, and offensively, and I'm not going to maybe give the edge ever to Derek, but I think that the gap it's almost like the Luka Doncic Tatum conversation in that, like, sure, as far as like shot creation and offensive stuff, the edge can go to Luka, but that gap has closed. The defensive gap is so wide, and when you're talking about trying to fight through 4 different playoff rounds where you're going to play different types of teams, you want someone like Derek White or Jason Tatum that can help you defend and attack in different ways. Speaking of Jason Tatum,
real quick, Rivens. It's not just that Garland is small; it's that he's also like thin. Brunson, Pritchard, Mitchell as well. They're small, but they're sturdy. Like Garland has neither of those things working in his favor. That's why it's so tough to build a defense around him. I love PP, baby. Oh my God, that's a bad clip. Cut that out, Ben.
Who doesn't?
Anyway, Tatum, sorry.
Yeah. And we of course Rivens finds a way to bring PP into the chat here. But Jason Tatum, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. 1 short of the triple of going back-to-back triple doubles there. 1 steal, 3 turnovers. Not the most efficient scoring night. 25 points on 20 shots, like 55% true shooting. Not great efficiency-wise, but essentially he was just 1 made shot away from that really being a more efficient scoring night. But man, it was effortless. It was effortless, like a complete orchestration. 25, 10, and 9. It feels kind of just like ho-hum now, and obviously you want the efficiency a little bit up, but like when you're generating that type of offense for the team, and defensively until he let go of the rope a little bit when they went up 27, I thought it was him right behind Jrue as far as who was playing the best defense, and like he can just straight up guard Cat one-on-one now. Like a couple years ago, it was like, okay, we're going to put Tatum on Cat and Tatum can get his hands in there and stuff, but now it's like Cat just doesn't even want to try going at Tatum. It's like, and that's the type of defender that Tatum's become versatility wise. Like he just has the strength to deal with those types of players. I thought he was just ho-hum 25, 10, 9 superstar stuff.
Yeah, man. It's weird because his third quarter was really bad though. Like I really felt like he had 4 assists in the third quarter though. So really, how bad was it? It was bad for him efficiency wise. I think he was like 1 of 6 or 1 of 7 shooting. But the way he is controlling the offense is truly crazy stuff for a dude who, is billed as like this scoring guard. He's averaging 7 assists a game in his last 10. 7 is a pretty ridiculous number, especially for a big wing like that. And you said it, Jake, you were like, beyond Luka and LeBron, he is the best playmaking wing in the NBA. And yeah, like he is probably closer to those guys than the next person is to him, than like Jimmy Butler is to him at this point. And it's like the passing is so good. The way he sets defenders up with his handle, he used to just set them up for himself so he could get a shot or he could get downhill. But now he's like, I'm going to set this up, drag this over here. I know the nail help's going to come up and I'm going to fire a pass to the wing or the corner shooter for a wide open 3. It is orchestration at an elite, like top level. Like you can't really get better than what he's doing recently. It's awesome. And there was a possession. Jalen Brunson, semi-transition, has Tatum in a cross match, empty side, no help anywhere for Tatum. You know what Brunson did? He backed it out, grabbed a screen, asked for Al Horford to come over, asked for the Al
Get me
Horford's
out of here,
guy.
dude.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted empty side ISO. That's like, oh, you're a guard, Brunson. You should be like, oh, blow right by this guy. Nope. He was like, you know, Precious, get over here. Bring Al Horford to me. And then he shot a pull up and missed it. But so like that, Tatum isn't just like a good team defender anymore. Like he's one of the best defensive players in the NBA when he's bringing it. And he's absurdly versatile to the point where elite point guards don't want to try him. And then he's also guarding elite offensive centers. Like, what? That's nuts, man.
They know now.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite clips from last season was like Tatum got Brunson on like a late clock possession, and Brunson's just like dribble, quick, you know, trying to do his herky jerky stuff, and Tatum just completely shuts him down. Reminds me of the amount of times that we've got Tatum shutting down Kyrie, the maxi block in the Sixers game recently, like. He can just
Shea in the fourth quarter last year.
Oh, that
or
was...
Maybe it was it? Yeah.
That was last year, fourth quarter in Oklahoma. Didn't quite lead to the win, but it was like, okay, no one can stop Shea. And Tatum was like, he's gotten Trey. Like, yeah, you can put together an awesome reel of him guarding these insanely quick jitterbug type guards. And that's just not something you can say about 6'9" forwards. It's just not a thing. Shout out the chat. Shout out Ben. We miss Ben too. And if you do miss Ben, we'll be doing a pod tomorrow, potentially on the Patreon. So make sure you check in for that one. But yeah, man. So you mentioned the assists over the last 10 games, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you were focused on trying to get Tatum to 6 assists this season. That was what you wanted.
That was the goal.
I think we're going to get there, right? Like he's at 5.6 or 5.7 on the season right now, and it's currently we're trending in that direction. As you said, last 10 games, 6.7 assists, and something I had to look at. So last 10 games as well, he's averaging 13.3 potential assists, which is 12th in the NBA, and the 6.7 assists are good for 16th in the NBA on the season. He's averaging 11.5 potential assists, and that's good for 21st in the NBA, which is nutty. But he's only averaging 5.6 assists, which is 35th. So he's kind of getting shortchanged by like half an assist to one full assist, and it started to tick up a little bit more, like in line with potential assists equaling the correct number of assists. And yeah, Isaiah in the chat, Tatum's going to have a 28, 8 and 8 year. And maybe we talk about this on the Patreon tomorrow, Ben, and we did a Tatum deep dive last week as well, but as I've been some chatter about is, you know, Tatum like the best wing since LeBron, and like you've got the Kawhis and the Durant comparisons, but you start to look at like Tatum's career numbers and his last 5 seasons, it's kind of just like 26, 27, 7 boards and 5 assists. And now if the assists start going up, like, I mean, the LeBron number is 27, 7, and 7, right? Like that is just like the LeBron stat line. LeBron never was a super high usage scoring guy. He did lead the league in assists one year, if I'm not mistaken, but Tatum is now inching towards like that type of wing scoring creator, rebounder, defender. And like, obviously I'm not saying he's going to be fucking peak LeBron James, but if we're just getting the budget poor man's version of LeBron James, that's a pretty fucking good player.
Yeah, that's still one of the like 25 best players ever. Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think his combination of the handle, which allows him, he doesn't have the greatest first step, but his handle is nuts now. Like it is so tight and so good and so clean. And that lets him get half a step. And then once he's got half a step on you, he's getting downhill because he's so damn strong at this point. Like he had a drive against Anunoby. It's him and Anunoby in the corner, and he just put his shoulder into Anunoby and pushed him back like 15 feet and got fouled. Like that is like OG Anunoby like guards centers. He's a monster. He is a beast. And Tatum's just like, all right, I'm just going to bully you to the rim. I probably won't do it again because this is difficult to do, and I'm trying to coast to a 20-point win, but just to show you I can do it. And real quick, in the context of the Knicks matchup in Mitchell Robinson, Tatum if you go to the matchup data, last year Tatum scored 28 or more against 4 direct matchups. Chris Middleton, 21 minutes. Josh Hart, 25 minutes. This is matchup time, how long they spent guarding him. Kevin Durant, 17 minutes. How long do you think Mitchell Robinson guarded him for the 28 points Tatum scored on him last year?
Oh, I don't know, like 22 minutes?
3 minutes. He dropped 28 in 3 minutes. And part of that's because Mitchell comes over to help, so he guards him for like half a second, and then Tatum finishes on him. Oh my God, that's another bad soundbite, but finishes around him.
Very much around him, on him. A lot of finishing going on all over the New York Knickerbockers. Unfortunately,
that's for sure.
Unfortunately for them, yeah, dude. He is one of the guys. He just straight up is one of the guys, and I feel like he's improved within the season. I thought he came in playing his best ball, shooting the ball really well, and now the shooting's like kind of settled into like the 36% range, which is fine on this type of volume and stuff. But like the decision-making, playmaking, control stuff, like he just looks like it reminds me of the pre-bubble shutdown stuff where it was just like, oh my God, he's just kind of on this insane roll. And now it's just every single night. Keep it going, big fella. Keep it going, big fella. So over the last 50, do you have anything else on Tatum before?
No, I don't think so. It's it's like amazing that he's this good. Like we drafted him. It is so rare to draft a dude. We've drafted one All NBA player, first team All NBA player in the last like 40 years, and it was Larry Bird. So it's Larry Bird and Jason Tatum. That's the list. Pierce never made a first team. The only other first teamer is KG, and we obviously didn't draft him. So it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, it's it's hard to get one of these guys. There's only 5 of them in the NBA at one time, and I think you can very easily make the argument that if like he has had the 3rd best season when you factor in availability over Giannis, but at worst he's been the 4th best player in the NBA this season, which is pretty freaking good. So talk about Jaylen Brown, and like just in that 15 game sample size, it's quite interesting. Like Tatum's scoring total is down like 21.5. It is such an even spread across the team. So firstly, the Celtics are 12-3 in that 15 games. So they're back on a 80% win pace, which is, a 60 plus wins. Tatum 24.5, Jalen 21.8, Kristaps 19.8, Derek 16.1, Pritchard 11.8, Jrue at 9, Hauser at 8, Al and Cornet at 6 apiece. Like it is such a nice hierarchy, and like at the same time it feels like Tatum has settled into like the true alpha of the team, but it hasn't necessarily equated to field goal attempts, and that's totally fine. To me, I know that pisses off a weird faction of Celtics fans and how they're obsessed with like wanting him to, and I want him to win MVP too. Don't get me wrong. It's just he's just not that type of player, and I think that for the health of the team, that's a good thing. Is that they're 12-3 over that period. All the numbers back up that they're playing some of their best basketball. I think it's interesting, and look like thinking about Jalen as well here. Like 22 points a game kind of fits into today. 24 points a game, 10 for 21, pretty solid.
Yeah, man. Jalen's been really awesome, and I think defensively, Jalen has really brought it recently in the last 15 games. He's done a really good job of getting into ball handlers and just being disruptive at the point of attack, which I was extraordinarily critical of his point of attack defense for maybe like that whole stretch where we looked like shit. We don't want Tatum to take 25 shots, not only because it's hard to do and it will wear him down. The way he's being defended, if he takes that many shots, he's not going to be efficient because he's getting so much damn attention from the defense that the best thing for the team, holy crap, Cleveland and Memphis are like in a brawl. Kinda.
Oh, shit.
A lot of pushing and shoving going around.
Hell yeah.
But like Tatum is doing exactly what you want your superstar to do. He's essentially being guarded by 3 people at times. move the ball, let Jaylen Brown feast, let Kristaps feast, let Derek, Jrue, like all of these guys are capable of attacking a defense in rotation or making an open jumper. So Tatum moving the ball is why we are 12-3. And I know some people like, well, look at his usage when if his usage is over 35, we never lose. That's because he's hot as hell and he's taking more shots because he's hot. It's like chicken and the egg situation. He's not like shooting himself into high usage and he's missing. You know what I mean? Like if he's missing, he's probably going to stop shooting and move the ball a little bit more often. So the way this team is playing, we talked about it, I think, in January, Jake, where we were like, are we worried? Still not worried. Still not worried. Lots of people were like, how can you guys not be worried? And we're like, we just got to see a stretch where they're back to kicking ass and showing who this team is. And like, we got it. This is the stretch. They're 9-1 in their last 10, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm proud of us. Look, was there a moment where I tried to potentially trade Kristaps Porzingis? Yes. I stand by that I never officially pulled the trigger on that. But I just thought it was important that we all have a private, secret conversation that we don't tell anybody about. But I thought, I and Eric Weiss, I mean, he's been banging the drum that like no one needs to panic and like, veteran teams like this, like don't try in the middle of the season. Part of, talking and writing about the team is you got to talk and write about something. And if we just sit here and say everything's fine, which we more or less did, we tried to dig into why, but like, Gotta talk about something in the midst of the doldrums of December and January while we have a good time doing it. Obviously here on First to the Floor, but like man, they're seeing this stretch where they've cranked it on both ends, and like again, if a couple of those like tight losses were flipped, or one of them or two of them were flipped, like that whole stretch doesn't even feel like it was that bad. But onto Jalen, he I loved his comments post-game here. And I've kind of clipped both the immediate and the actual presser as well.
Cleveland just gets Hunter, and
I
the
didn't.
purpose is to guard you and Jason. Does that motivate you when teams are gearing up and loading on wings to try to defend you and Jason?
Absolutely.
Why?
I don't think I need to explain why, but it does. So we'll be ready. Just the playoffs, just want to be healthy. The Cavs and Knicks, they're good teams. So anything can happen. We gotta, focus on the details. But, I'm looking forward to it.
And he said something similar immediately on the sideline with Abby about like, maybe we caught them on a bad day. That's a really good team. Like we're not overlooking anybody. Like, and you saw the mic. JB was the mic'd up guy today. I do think that he really does always talk about this is the push for the playoffs. And he had a terrible first half. There's no way around it. He was bad. Tatum had a terrible third quarter. Jalen was bad in the first half, at least offensively. Defensively, still pretty good. But yeah, the mentality, the emotional leadership, that's the role that he's taken on. And I love just hearing that, because this team has not been the best at like, dealing with success at times over the past few seasons. But like you could see a scenario where they feel a little too fat and happy going into a series because they sweep the Knicks by 4-0 and they go up by an average of 20 plus points, and they go into a series where they go down 0-1 or something like that because they're fucking around. So
when have we seen them do that? Never.
Never. So I like hearing that response. And Tatum even talked about like teams being built to beat them. That's an honor. That's a privilege. But we're focused on us, and like the beat of the drum of what people are saying and what people are doing on the court is translating.
You got to respect your opponent, or the basketball gods will pay you back, because we see it when like teams are missing like their top four and this team doesn't take it seriously and gets caught with a loss. Like respecting your opponent is like the number one thing. And they have all the reason in the world to not respect the Knicks. I mean, just being honest, like the way they just beat them up at all times. They're essentially like the little brother. And love the whole team's mindset, especially Jalen's mindset. And I really do think Jalen is sort of like the spiritual leader, like the emotional leader of the team, even if Tatum's sort of like the schematic leader of the team, right? Like you're going to give the ball to Tatum, ask him to make reads and make plays, but how hard you're playing is going to be dictated by Jaylen Brown, and it makes them an incredible partnership. And Jalen has been playing like a man possessed. Like he's rebounding the ball. He's playing hard as hell on defense. He's getting around screens most of the time. And like my favorite thing is he's back to attacking in semi-transition like all the time. He is going so hard in semi-transition, and like no one can stop him when he has a head of steam. So his efficiency over the last 15, it's like 57.7 true shooting, and he's only shooting 34% from three. Yeah. So he's super efficient from two right now. That is the foundation of Jaylen Brown's game. He gets us the low variance shots to go down. He gets to the rim. He gets the mid-range to go. And then Tatum is kind of the higher ceiling, lower floor, at least as it comes to scoring, ideally. And we're just really, really tough to beat when Jaylen Brown's bringing it, because then the rest of the team is bringing it, especially on defense. And like the offense is going to come. This team can score no matter what. It's all about, if they're playing great, it's because they're playing great defense to me with this team.
Yeah, and I think it's been a little overshadowed because his efficiency has really struggled this year. But last 15 games again, that 22 points, 50% from the field. That's perfect. That's a great way of putting it too. Like sometimes when you just need like a run stopper or like a settler, you can get to the post. Man, Brunson drew like just the floppiest flop on him in the post. And
that was horrible.
And then they replayed it too. Like he didn't even bump him really. He just kind of like leaned into him. And I was like, this is embarrassing from the Knicks. But yeah, man, I really like seeing like that well-rounded game from Jalen, and especially like able to bring it back offensively in the second half, because sometimes it used to spiral a bit more often, whereas now it feels like he's able to kind of rein it back in. And I thought he was really solid. Seeing the J to J stuff has been really good. Like in the Sixers? Yeah, the Sixers game, they had a couple of transition plays, but great point on the transition. And that's I don't know I hope they worked on it, or maybe they just like stopped being awful at it, because it's like not that hard to be good at. But the fast breaks and transition stuff in the first two games back has been good. And Jalen's like obviously the head of the spear when it comes to that kind of stuff. But like take those opportunities. Take like any chance you get. Like that's high efficiency basketball. Derek missed a tip in, but like if people are following Jalen as well, but that can lead to easy putbacks at the same time. So I love the process from JB.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's just nice to finally see the team I remembered watching for the first like quarter of this season. And I mean, like, Jalen's such a weird player to root for and cheer for, because like half the time, like he'll like his dribble looks like he's just about to lose it, and then he like gathers Euro steps and lays it in perfectly, and I'm like, how the fuck did that work? But it works so often that it's just kind of like part of his game in some ways, even though it's terrifying to watch at times. But he's playing pretty damn well. Man, if he gets that 3-point shot, because like he's getting wide open catch and shoot corner threes a lot of the time, and he just cannot get him to go right now. And it's frustrating because some of these scoring numbers are going to be ridiculous for him once he gets the three ball to go.
I know, like I don't need him to be 40%. It's just, can we get to that 35? Because he was 35% last year. Like the 3-point shot has been kind of wild.
Better
for him.
Better
recently. But like just over his career, right? Like, what's funny, he's a career 36% 3-point shooter. So you would think it should at least tick up at some point. But yeah, the quality of the looks that he's getting, seems to be a lot of corner threes. What I would like to request is that any catch and shoot, just fucking rise up and fire. I don't want to see any of these dumb rhythm dribbles. Just catch, shot, jump, fire. The more it looks like a free throw, the less likely it feels like it's going to go in for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, do not think about it, JB. That's why he's so good at the mid-range, because he just like puts his head down and rises up and fires. So, yeah, man, like, and some of his misses are like comically off the mark too, on like wide open corner.
He airballed one, I think, today.
Yeah, and I think last game he did too. Where he like clanged one really badly. So it'll come around. Like, JB's a relentless worker. Like, he'll find it again. Maz, you said his 3-point diet shifted a lot over the course of the year. I feel like he's shooting more corner threes this year than he has for a while. I have no stats to back that up.
Yeah,
that could be totally wrong. But I feel like he's just more comfortable above the break with like the ball in his hands. So we'll see. The shooting, if his shooting comes around, we're going to be absolutely unstoppable. Even OKC can't stop us if he's shooting the ball. Yeah.
If he gets hot from three, just save that for the finals. Jalen would be my suggestion. I think.
Shoot 57% from three in the finals. We'll be good.
Go Caleb Martin mode for the finals, and we'll sleep. You can sleepwalk to another finals MVP, and that would be lovely. Alrighty, dude. I mean, I don't have too much more on this game, but another good win. Celtics have won 5 in a row all of a sudden, which they kind of crept up on me. But now we got a back-to-back coming up against the Raptors and the Pistons, who Cade Cunningham, man, he's making a name for himself to potentially sneak into All-NBA, let alone the All-Star conversation this year. But we'll be here. Tomorrow we'll be potting, so make sure you're checking out the socials and the Discord and stuff to see what's happening. But Spoonie, till next time, go Celtics.
Peace.